Welcome to the channel. So basically today I have got two different shoes on my feet. It's now time for me to prance around in the two odd shoes to basically try and get that good proprioception from the foot, from the ground, right up to the brain, to really compare these two shoes and really sort of see and feel and think and understand the differences and the similarities between the long-awaited comparison of the Olympus and the Mont Blanc. So the Olympus 4 and the Mont Blanc. Okay, so as soon as you put them on, you feel the biggest differences between the two, and the biggest difference being the weight of the shoe. The Mont Blanc is clearly that bit lighter than the Olympus. It's not majorly different, but you notice it's a much lighter shoe. The second difference, which is one of the sort of apparent differences that you sort of feel as soon as you put the shoe on, is the feel of the shoe. The upper is much softer in the Mont Blanc. There's much less protection. There's no toe bumper at the front like the Mont Blanc has, sorry, the Olympus has, sorry, and therefore it just feels a lot more open, accommodating, softer, but again, not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. This is just the differences. And thirdly, the width. There is more space. There's definitely, the Olympus is definitely a wider shoe, especially in the middle part, it's wider. The top part is about the same actually, but in the middle part, it's just a little bit wider. Having the two shoes on my feet, with the Mont Blanc on my left and the Olympus on my right, walking on a bit of the road and a bit of pavement and a bit of grass right now, in both the shoes, is the perfect time to really just feel how different they are, or how similar they are. To be honest, the midsole feels underfoot very, very similar. A bit more bounce in the Mont Blanc, but midsole in the Olympus is kind of similar to the Mont Blanc Ego Max. They're both quite soft but still responsive and with a bouncy energy return. That's why they both work quite well on the road, which I've sort of touched on before in other videos about the Olympus compared to, let's say, the Lone Peak. Also having them on my feet, and you just feel that upper feels soft on the Mont Blanc, much softer, and it's just that toe cap, which I've said before, toe cap on the Olympus just digs in slightly into my pinky, and I'm not sure why. That is just a very quick summary of how they feel underfoot and how they compare with one another as you walk along with both shoes on your feet at the same time. Luckily there's no one else out here, although they look quite similar, so I don't think anyone's going to really notice, plus no one's really going to care. Anyway, right, I'm now going to take them home and we'll talk about it further in more detail because, as I said, there's lots to talk about with both shoes, both being really, really good shoes. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. I think I might be able to decide where you might use one rather than the other, and vice versa, and just hopefully elaborate in more detail and be of some use to anyone thinking about buying the shoe. That's it. Right, I'll see you back at home. Right. Okay, so comparing the Mont Blanc to the Olympus 4. Both Altra shoes, obviously, both max cushion shoes, and just a few stats, and I've done lots of videos about these before, so I'll put some links up there in the description. With the Olympus here, we've got a 33mm stack height, whereas in the Mont Blanc, it is 30 millimeter stack of the Ego Max midsole. So 33 and 30. And therein lies might be a bit more of why the Olympus is a little bit heavier. But anywho, lots of notes, lots of things to talk about, and I'm going to basically just go straight into it now. So again, try and keep it as concise as possible. The upper first. So there's lots to talk about with both uppers of each shoe, but as I said before, and I hope I won't rehash stuff that I've just said, but the upper of the Mont Blanc is much softer, smoother, more accommodating and comfortable, whereas the upper in the Olympus here, more rigid, more structured, and it's that toe cap just here that seems to cut down into my pinky. They're very hard. But again, these could be good points and bad points. So the upper, in regards to comfort, the Mont Blanc does definitely win because it is more comfortable. The tongue, they're both kind of similar. They're both, this is luckily a little bit longer, but padding is about the same amount of padding on both tongues. I've added a little bit more on the Olympus here, sorry, on the Mont Blanc, but tongue-wise, they're not too dissimilar. Lockdown itself, Now I've had issues with both shoes, both the Olympus and the Mont Blanc. This is run number 5 this morning with Mont Blanc, and already it's getting better. I'm understanding the shoe, I've changed the lacing system there, and the lockdown now is pretty good actually, pretty good on this one here. But both shoes I've had issues with the lockdown. With the Olympus, I can find it sometimes a bit of pressure on the top because I have to pin it down because there's quite a lot of space up here and a lot of width that you might need to just scrunch down a bit, and that can cause a little bit of pressure on the tongue and on the top of your foot. But that said, they're both pretty good. So the protection wise, the Mont Blanc has nothing. As I said, it's just a nice stretchy fabric which is very soft but lacking in protection from everything, and I don't think this fabric will last long, this material will last long, especially if you're going through some thick brambles and rocks and roots and all things that are going to stick up and cut and jag. This could tear, fray and rip fairly easy, so not the most durable. Whereas in the old tanky Olympus, it's got a really hard, sort of strong material up here. The bumper is hard, it's got some good protection, so protection wins, Olympus wins. So, heel counter, an issue which people have had with the Mont Blanc in regards to the heel counter for the Olympus, structured, sturdy, strong, soft, no problem. Comfortable, I have no issues with the heel counter here, so that's fine with me. Heel counter on the Mont Blanc, loose, but I actually quite like it. I find it very soft and very nice, and I've got no issues with how it feels and fits onto my foot, so no problems there with the heel counter. Now, going down to the midsole. Now I touched on this briefly just when I was out there. Both these shoes tackle road pretty well, so I think they're both pavement, road, hard packed trails. Both of them could go because they both got a good amount of energy return to bounce back, and they feel comfortable and with enough protection. No rock plate in either, but they don't need it with that 30 and 30 mil stack height. So the midsole does feel very good. It is definitely bouncier and softer probably in the Ego Max, and lighter obviously. So there's that lighter feel and a faster feel, more of a poppy feel with the Mont Blanc. This one here just seems to be a bit more solid, obviously there's more protection, which I'll go into a second, but in regards to the midsole, it's just, you know, strong old Olympus tank style. And it works, it's really, really good, both great. So that leaves me with the kind of the last part of the equation, the outsole. So the outsole of the Olympus is the Vibram Mega Grip. And here we have the Vibram grip here as well, but it's been reduced down, so it's a much lighter weight grip, and it has its good points and bad points with that. Big problem with the Olympus is that it's a little bit heavier, but also it just clogs up with loads of mud. When I go out this and it's muddy and wet, I feel like it's just like a big block of cement underneath my foot. Whereas this one here, with the less rubber, less tread, sorry, it seems to drop the mud quite quickly and enables me to move on and disperse and just get running. Grip-wise, I actually find, for some reason, I find the Mont Blanc has better traction, and I'm not sure, I think that could be to do with the layout of the lugs, the direction of the lugs, but I find the Mont Blanc has that better control. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. And in the heel too. You'll notice the difference here is the heel with the Olympus has been slightly flared at the back, whereas luckily they have got rid of it for the Mont Blanc. No need for that. Doesn't do anything, in my opinion anyway. So the outsole, although they're very similar, they do have their plus points and negatives as well. But as you can see, both nice and wide. Again, apart from where it tapers in slightly on the Mont Blanc. I think that's it. Right, I almost think that's it. I think both shoes are really, really good shoes. They both have, you know, their place. And I think if you're going to be going out more on, especially if you're more hiking on some rocky trails as well, if you're running on rocky trails and there's more roots and brambles and all sorts of stuff which you need a lot more protection, and you want a little bit more space as well, just a bit more width in the shoe, then your Olympus will be the choice, because it just has more protection up front. It's got a wide platform in the middle here as well, and it's just got a much harder material here. But if you're looking for something softer, where you know that you're going to be, don't have to worry too much about protection, and you want something, you know, lighter weight, a bit more nimble, let's say, a little bit more poppy, a bit more fun, then the Mont Blanc may be the shoe for you. But I think having both these shoes is great because they both have the plus points and the negatives, and you can just rotate the shoes how you want to use them. They both work well, I think, actually, as a road to trail transition shoe because of that Ego midsole, or the Ego Max midsole as well in the Mont Blanc. That enables you to have enough protection from the road and bounce back. So yeah, and don't worry about the weight because the weight is not an issue, although you just do feel with the Mont Blanc, it's just a little bit lighter and it's just a nicer, comfier feel on your foot. I don't want to go too long because I want to keep it as short and concise as possible, and I probably already know that I already have gone too long. So yeah, that was it in a nutshell. And I think, as Mark G from the test run said, a coconut shell. Right, there we go. Very pleased with both shoes, really happy. I love them to bits. I use them a lot. I use the Olympus a lot. In my last sort of holidays going skiing as well. It works nicely as a big old snowshoe too. But you know, I've had this now and I've nearly done 50 kilometers in it. I've only done about 5 runs, but I'm really getting to grips with it and enjoying it. And it just takes time. I think you just need to give the Mont Blanc at least a week or so and some good runs to get that, to get the best out of it, because of the issues with the lockdown. It's not perfect, and I think maybe Mont Blanc version 1.5, where they changed the upper, or maybe the BOA system, which is also coming out, maybe that might be a better choice. But the midsole is great, and the outsole is fantastic. I love it to bits. Right, that's it from me. Thanks very much for watching. Hope that helps, and if you haven't already, please do click that like button down there, wherever it is, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care, bye-bye.